more. Oh, shoot, did I lose my pen? You've got to be kidding me. Where did I put that? I must have lost it. Okay. Hmm. Dang it. Keeping it flow is okay. That's okay. He seems happy. Hey James, I don't know if you can hear me, but I can see you. I love you. I'll be home soon, okay? Oh, you're so cute. Goodness. What a doll. Hey buddy, I hope you're being a good boy. Yeah, one. Mhm. And, yeah. Mhm. Yeah, that's funny. What about? Hey, I'm sorry. I thought you seen me coming up the stairs. I didn't mean to scare you. Maybe it's in here. Oh my goodness.
All right. Huh?
Been doing something fun?
No.
I didn't see, I heard you fire your motorcycle a couple times. I'm like, is he riding it? Is that really Dan riding his motorcycle?
I wrote it over here today. Those insurance documents, they were uploaded.
They were? Okay.
I just forgot to hit the publish button.
Oh.
So,
I looked, it said, had the old ones up there in the documents.
yeah, when I got here, I was like, oh, I didn't hit the publish button. So they're there, yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll just make sure to tell them that.
And we had just gotten them.
Well, I didn't even know who it was with or anything, so
Well,
that's okay. I'm
we
just gonna
agreed at
talk
the
to
last
you.
meeting to go ahead with McAllister because
Okay.
none of the other
Yes.
quotes were.
And then we can change it whenever
Yeah.
we want to.
I mean, we just dropped $6,600 on it, so.
That's how much it costs. It's expensive.
Yeah,
So
stupid
it's not-
expensive.
I know it is, but it's a cost that has to be paid.
Yeah,
And
there's not really a choice in the matter.
we're just in the wrong business, that's all. I just came from the city meeting and I actually got to finish the meeting and then come over here. Cause sometimes the meeting's too long.
Yeah, they
So-
don't usually finish.
It's gonna be on the planning board.
Tom Jett is.
Yeah, the planning commission.
Okay,
Well,
he knows the properties, so.
so he didn't ask to be a part of it. And Jenny Hendricks, I think, used to be there. Well, anyway. Yeah, she's not gonna be there
Oh,
now.
good.
Well, so there were some things said that were just. It's always interesting, you know, I like going to those meetings, but I don't think I could go to every one of them. That's it.
And Tom does. I mean, unless he's sick, he's there.
Yeah.
He's
it's cool.
got his own seat in the front row.
He just fine with that. Garth asked him to do it, asked him if he would do it.
Gonna be an interesting city council race. I'm gonna have them all, as many of us will come in and do
I don't want
interviews.
to be a part of any of it. I just like to show up every now and then, so I know what's going on, and if there's something that's an issue to my personal life, I'll bring it in, but otherwise,
Yeah, I don't care what they're doing with some planned unit development out west.
I guess some,
I have
like,
no care.
some people wanna, they wanna keep some of the historic homes. But when they see the condition of the historic homes and what it costs to fix them,
Oh, yeah.
and also there's some health issues and things like that, that got the money pit going on in some of them. Mom's house was like that. It was built in 1902 and she left the back door open with this screen door on there. And it was just a cheap one and the wind came, blew it off. So Shane's thinking, I'll be a good neighbor, I'll help. We go to try and oh my gosh. The siding is attached to old wood that's falling apart.
Yeah, that doesn't
So
surprise me.
there's nothing to screw it into, it's falling apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, my brother, when him and my mom bought that place, he replaced the floors and. Yeah, there's just all kinds of stuff that. The electrical, the insurance company wants to come out and charge more money, cause it's that house that burned down the street, got a mobile home on it now in the corner. Like a year or so ago, it burned down, remember that house?
No.
So what do we live on, 400, so it's 300, when you go out the west side. And you go down towards Ace Hardware,
Oh, yeah.
that corner house, Shane knows the guy. He only had so much insurance and that's all he could build and put there,
Howdy.
so, but it was all because of old electrical. So I keep telling my mom, I hope you like that mobile home you see there on the corner, cause if you don't upgrade your electrical and.
You're gonna be living in one?
Up your insurance policy.
All right, let's call this meeting to order.
I borrowed your pen.
Oh, well, that's what I was
I
looking
don't know
for.
where I lost it. Well, no, there's one right there on the table. I got this one off
Oh.
of that table, and I promised to get that.
Let's see here.
And how I lost my, between here and the building across the street, so.
So. Financial report or delinquent accounts. Margene Allen is paid ahead. Ron Wachowski is paid ahead. Trevor Hampton
Still do.
is still due. And I think that is it. And the late fee. Oh, no, Chase Powell.
And
And
then
then-
Richard Bauer has his late fee. I
Yep.
don't know if we're gonna take care of that or not.
I guess we'll have to do a lien. I didn't want to be that guy.
Okay.
We've got the transaction record here. It was an expensive month because we had our insurance.
Yeah.
So that was $6,600, 66. Oh, no, that's income. 60, what was that? Mm, 6618. Plus, we had $1,900 for the sidewalk repair and the curbing. So where that sidewalk had heaved up by the wall, they gave us that bid to do both the curbing and that sidewalk replacement. So you were out of town, so Cynthia and I went ahead, decided to go ahead and do that.
Once again, it knew the sidewalk.
Done.
Oh, it's done.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the fence, the sidewalk,
I knew the fence was. and the-
Everything's
the
done.
Sidewalk was.
yeah, yeah, it's all done.
The days and dried and.
Yeah.
We've been walking on it, not having to worry about his bike falling apart as I go, bumpity bump.
Sweet. So yeah, that took our balance down to like $3,200 in our account right now. Now, part of that is because I've got about $500 in deposits I haven't gone to the bank and made yet. So that's part of that. So there's about another 500 that goes into the bank account. So I don't know. I move that we don't spend any more money until forever.
Yeah, but now the complaints and things like that are. Pretty much goes out,
Our balance, I'm looking for our balance sheet. It's the last page. Second page. No, that's the here, it is the second page on the back. I double printed. Yeah, so we're at 3256 in the checking account. And there's some still in transit there that I've got to go deposit. Yours and the Ellis's check and a couple other things. I'm waiting for some big checks to come in for my nonprofit, so it's just like, well, I'll just wait till they get here, but they're really late. President's report. We got the curbing and the sidewalk replaced, as we just mentioned. We have some incomplete projects. We need to get that stucco done. Do we
I
have,
spoke to Ed Mordo and he said. I think I mentioned it August, he's like, I'm out, but for a while, but he said one of these days he'll come and look at every spot
okay,
and then give us a price. But he said he'll put us on the list for August.
okay. And then what about asphalt for,
Asphalt, he lives in St. George. And, I thought he would come last week. And, he said the next time he is in Cedar, he'll give us a price.
okay. And has, I forgot to put this on there. I guess it goes under old business, but, has Jason given us a quote to do the removal of the grass and put stone in?
Weren't we going to discuss that? I mean, I talked to him about.
Well, we
what
need
are
to get the
we
quote.
through?
We need to get the quote for it so we can discuss it.
Do we want to add big rocks into it? Do we want it to all have just plain rocks? Do we want to add any bushes?
Was cheapest.
Just plain rock,
Right.
but we
Um,
want to add
let's get bids on all of it.
Okay.
With some big rocks, with some bushes, just rock. Mainly it's the grass removal, sprinkler removal, getting all that shut down. Cause we had a $1,900 water bill.
he shut down, well, he turned way down I told you it was leaking through the water
Yeah.
wall. And he turned that station down a lot and it has not been.
Behind the trash cans, we're using the picture.
Yeah.
So that one grassy area up there, yeah, how many people use that?
I
Nobody,
saw the
Dogs and
first
stuff.
dog on it.
I was just curious.
people should be walking having their dogs use the bathroom in their backyards, not,
Right.
especially since they probably aren't cleaning it up. I went and found a big old turd in the park. And I wasn't happy about that, so. So those are really the only issues, that I have left. Do you have anything else to report?
Just that we're on Eduardo.
Eduardo,
But I don't want to have him do any repair either without having.
without a bid, yeah, we need to know what that's gonna
So-
look like.
It's down for August, but I know the stucco repair on that first unit. I don't know any other repair.
Didn't you have some?
There's a couple, I'll go through there again, but I wanna say it's number 13. So. Going to Bumpy Hill, that one's 12, and the one across the street is number 13. And I feel like there's some stuff over there.
Is that Ashley Tippett's?
Nope, it's
No.
across the street.
Oh, the other side?
One on the street. But
Is
east
that the
side-
Bowers?
No, the Bowers are down by the first house.
Is it in my, so
No,
it's the upper?
upper one, cause you got Geraldo Lopez, there's just two houses right there. And it's one that's closest to the street, that's number 13. I
Okay.
feel like that's.
Is that the one I cut the tree down in the front yard?
There was a tree there. In
Yeah,
the front yard.
okay.
There was a nasty,
Yes,
and
I
then
cut
they
that
just had
down.
a four-wheeler there, but they hauled it off, I think, right before you became president.
Oh.
I don't know, but it had been there for 4 years.
I wouldn't have cared because I have two motorcycles in front of mine, so.
Motorcycles, they don't have flat tires, I don't know. I don't care either. That's the house I'm talking about. But anyway, that four-wheeler, I think, was blocking the front of the door and then, but behind it is where the stucco repair, anyway, it's gone and
Okay.
I feel like there's not a whole lot of stucco repairs to the house.
No, there shouldn't be, because the paint kind of holds it all together, so. It had to have been really wet when they put it up for
Well,
the
some days when
crack
you
and,
feel like putting the storage shed over in the, in the park or whatever, we can keep materials like paint and stucco and things like that in there.
have you ever done stucco?
I don't.
I
want to.
have, and I don't want to.
Yeah, but the material that you have, it's just, usually when people buy a house. they
Yeah,
leave the
well, I'm
paint
not
and
keeping
stuff
paint
like
out
that.
that's gonna freeze. You don't want to keep paint where it will freeze,
No, you don't,
so
that's true.
I would rather just buy what we need, match the color, since we got it over at Jones, we can match the color and. Rather than having free frozen paint, or Sherwin-Williams, right, yeah, Sherwin-Williams. As long as that stays there, I hope that store stays there forever. All right, anything else? Secretary Treasurer's report.
Pretty much already said the bank account, so I think you're saying the reserves are what, 30, or the full amount is.
3,200
732.
3,200 in the main checking account, then we've got our
Well.
20,000 in the CDs, which we've made $438 on as of now. So, that's $438 we didn't have.
Yeah.
For just parking the money there. Old business, so yeah, we kind of covered that, replacing the lawns with stone, just getting those bids in. Ultimately, I don't want to make that decision unilaterally as a board. I want all the membership.
Right.
Because that affects everybody.
You're talking about, the two big houses.
No, I'm talking about
Stone in front of the
Everything.
units.
everything. Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
I guess that's what.
That was supposed to be
So
removed.
just replacing lawns with stone.
Yeah, but I want the whole membership to weigh in on that. I don't want to do that just as a board. Because that's a biggie.
Well, some people like the grass. They like the way it looks. I moved from Arizona, so from my perspective, I like the grass, but I have grass in my backyard and there's parks around here, so.
Yeah,
I don't really care.
I don't like paying around $1,000 a month for water for the grass.
I get that.
And then mowing and,
We have the park.
yeah, the park, we'd still have to have the park mowed, but that wouldn't cost as much and we wouldn't have to pay as much for water. So. All right, handicap parking. Go for it. That was your agenda item.
Yeah. Mostly I have a tenant in my home who's handicapped and she's working on getting her driver's license. She has a.
So she
permit.
does not currently have a driver's
She has
license.
a permit.
Does she have a car?
No,
Is that car that she doesn't have got disabled plates.
Well, when she gets a car, she's gonna have disabled plates, yeah.
Okay.
And she, I mean, she receives SSI and SSDI, so she is handicapped.
So
And
I
she
looked
will-
into the law and I actually spoke to a lawyer. There's two different laws that we're dealing with. We're dealing with the Fair Housing Act and we're dealing with the ADA.
Yeah.
The ADA, because we're a condominium unit where people have parking in front of their units, does not apply. The Fair Housing Act, with a formal request for an accommodation. That accommodation does not have to be in writing. Your email suffices for that. There's a couple issues at stake. Under the ADA, no handicap parking space may be on a hill that has a slope of more than 1 inch over 48 inches, which means those two spots in front of Chase's are not suitable or appropriate for handicap parking.
Wow. I've
Second,
been there the whole time.
well, there's a lot of things that are done in this town that they're also not legal because they don't have signs. Any
Yeah. Oh,
parking spot that is set aside for disabled must have signs. Second, you must provide the documentation that the person who's making the request is in need. You do not qualify because you have parking in front of your house. Those spots are also further away from your house than other parking. I'm gonna be frank, I see this as a petty attempt to try to hurt Chase,
No.
try to take some of his parking spots
She's
away.
gonna need a little bit more space.
So the
in
third part
parking
of that is she has to prove that she is mobility impaired.
Okay,
Mobility impaired means that she uses some sort of assistance for walking,
you can't ride a bike and things like
and
that.
she's gonna drive a car.
Listen, I don't make the rules, okay? She hasn't taken the special class. I'm not real excited about her driving right now anyway, so it's not really a big deal right now. But I'm not gonna have her park in her car in my driveway because she needs to have a place to park.
There's plenty of places to park.
I know, but the places that are to park are not handicap parking spots. They're tight and you can't get in and out of the car sometimes. You have a wheelchair, you're not getting in and out.
Does
of
she
the
have a
car.
wheelchair?
I have a wheelchair.
You have a driveway.
I do, but that doesn't mean I have to use my driveway for that. I have other people with wheelchairs coming to my house.
Well, we're not required to have them.
Well,
That's
we'll
the-
get down that road when it comes down
Well,
that way,
depending what
because
comes up, I could have one right now too. Because of my back. And I could, they would say, I want you to walk with a cane. And you need to have a parking spot. Hang on. So then my friend's son ripped his entire cap open on a motorcycle accident. They gave him, while he was going to school, a temporary ADA permit. When that expired, they asked him if he wanted to renew it. Because was he mentally disturbed by his accident? Is he still having effects? And he said, "Yeah, why not?
Why not? If I can have it, why wouldn't I?
So, they're easy to get. If we wanna start opening this, Chase could have half of his tenants go and say, hey, I have a mental situation where I need a handicap spot, so we could have, they could end up, he could say, I need 6. I mean, I'm just saying, I understand that, and I respect it. I don't,
I
you know,
just
when I
heard
see it
that
at Walmart,
the people that are talking right now don't have a need for a wheelchair someday and have to go through a hurdle and having to have a place to park. And just because somebody's handicapped doesn't mean they can't drive. And they do deserve to have accommodations.
They deserve to have accommodation
They-
if they can prove the disability, if they can meet the
Yeah, yeah.
requirements of the actual law that you quoted to me.
That's because she can anyway, so the proof isn't the
What
matter.
about her sign?
But
right there by
But
the
you have
mailbox, that says, this is for tenants only, all others will be towed away.
yeah,
So,
people have been parking all over anyway. We haven't had too many parking issues. The only issue that I
It's
have
because we have plenty of parking
is
spaces.
just that I want to be able to, if I have people coming to my home who are handicapped and they are in wheelchairs and they drive cars, and even if I do have one driveway, that driveway is being used already and they deserve to have a handicap parking spot. And
But
if
where would you like those spots to be?
I don't know, I'm just saying that there's already two that are in place, it seemed, I thought to me.
They're not appropriate. They don't meet the requirements of the law you specifically brought up.
So how do we solve that?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
We don't
The only
have
place that
any,
I saw that looked pretty level is right there where.
That's why
just to
those
the
are
left of the
there,
dumpster,
It,
which is actually closer to your place.
which is fine with
And
me.
it's also close to the place where the people with the wheelchair are.
As you can get out,
but
there's
there's
no
not my
space.
that comes. in
That's,
two
it doesn't,
wheelchair.
so here's why
has to
we
go
are not
all the way
required.
She's-
Here's why we're not
She's
required.
there.
We don't have a clubhouse
So different.
or a rental office.
Lives there.
Well, you said you have friends that come and go.
I do. I do.
We don't have a clubhouse and we don't have a rental office. And we're not, all of our units are not under a building with one roof. I'm not either. In fact,
Can park, if my guests come and they are not able to walk, I will accommodate them to visit me.
Yeah.
In my home.
Okay, but that's.
the other
that's
thing is
different when
because
someone
those,
lives there. So,
because those two handicapped faded out that are left over from the Beehive home are not appropriate. I'm making a motion that we take some asphalt sealer and black out that. Because it actually does not meet the letter of the law, which requires that 1 inch and 48 inches of slope. And they're also not wide enough for a person to enter.
enough, and they have.
They don't have the access
nothing
lane.
Stopping people from getting in and out of wheelchairs in those parking spots.
They don't what?
Those are appropriate. Those.
Not
parking
under the
spots
law, they're
are
not.
appropriate. I don't know where you're getting that, but. they're
From
not.
the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Yeah. So why would they build them there and put them there? And how could a business be ran out of there that doesn't accommodate?
You weren't there when that business was there, were you?
Cause I sold them.
You know what that place was like. How often the police had to be called because the tenants were screaming, how often the tenants were walking across the street, knocking on the door.
Got out that had dementia.
Yeah, that place was not run.
Police being called, but.
I had to call them 3 times.
Outside of our window and things like that. And so I don't know, I've never, in all of my years as a realtor, with all the HOAs that I've seen, I've never seen an assisted living center attached to
No,
a complex like ours.
but they're the ones who built the place. The owners of that are the ones who built the place. And so that's,
Yeah.
it was a weird
it is a
situation.
Weird situation.
But so I have a motion that we black out those spaces. Do I have a second?
I second it. I mean, I think it needs, if we're gonna do it, we need to do it in an appropriate
Yeah.
legal manner.
All in favor? Aye.
Nay.
I would be more inclined, if that is an issue, to, and I don't know if I'd have to look at the CCNRs to see if we can do this. But to waive the no parking at the curb in front of your house for Cynthia to be able to use that spot on the driveway.
I hear what you're saying. I
You
know
could
what you're
even
saying.
paint your curb blue.
Okay. I don't
I'd be more inclined to do that if it's an issue. That doesn't take parking away from anybody. You're not having somebody park there all the time.
So it won't be like a handicap thing because it won't be meeting the accommodation from what you're saying because of the slope.
Actually, it's fairly flat right in front. It doesn't start to slope until a little bit beyond. I know I had to go out there.
Is it those parking spots that are down there don't meet?
Yeah.
I mean.
I'm not surprised at all. I know that nursing home. I am not
That-
surprised at all.
Looking toward that drainage ditch.
Yeah.
Or the.
Yeah, so somebody in a wheelchair is gonna roll
So
back
that's-
towards that.
That's the whole purpose of
Why
slope
they're
is
in the
to,
corner probably is why they did that, and it's next to the park and everything too. I don't know.
I was out there today. I had to pick up about $8,000 worth of gold. That I stupidly left on the tailgate of my truck and drove off with, and
You got it all.
I got it all.
Go Get a metal detector.
I've got one. I've got it all. I spent an hour out there with tweezers picking up little pieces of gold. But yeah, that slope is, it starts just beyond kind of where that turn is. It begins to slope down, so we could actually have it painted, we could have it, so the other issue
That's
though,
cool,
with
that's fine.
the Fair Housing Act requirements,
Yeah,
under the Fair Housing Act law, the requester is responsible for all costs associated with the special accommodations. So,
yeah. I'm familiar with that, and I think that's okay. I don't
Okay.
mind it. It's not even an issue for me with the cost. It's more just an issue of having accessibility to the home, by the people that need it. And so, I mean, the whole reason why I bought that house, I don't have any stairs and, you know, that kind of thing, but I didn't. Well, my son has a wheelchair and he might end up back in it again, and it'd be cool if he was able to drive someday, but right now he's not old enough to drive. But my tenant is, and I've adopted her as my daughter, and she does wanna drive, and she's gonna take a class, and she's probably gonna pass, and.
yeah, but does she have mobility impairment?
She does, she can't ride a bike and things like that, so
Can
I'm
she
not
walk?
really sure,
That's what mobility impairment talks about.
okay, but
And you walk.
she's gonna have documentation to give you for whatever you want. I mean,
But that's
That's
where
not-
my frustration when I said in the email, like, it's gonna open a can of worms, because anybody can go out there and say,
they can, and.
I
when-
wanna get
but-
one too.
But that,
I am mentally struggling, you
well,
know?
fair housing law, in 2022, an HOA just got sued $96,000 for the same issue. These issues continue to happen over and over. And so we have to accommodate people when they ask for the accommodation, but we have the right to ask for some documentation
There's
to prove that they
the-
really are handicapped and that they really need it. But I'm not gonna, you guys don't know what it's like to have to manage the equipment, and a wheelchair can be quite heavy at times.
They're very heavy.
Yeah, and it takes up a lot of space, and then there's just a lot, we only have a 1-car garage, and we're squeezed in there as it is, but most people aren't parking in their garages
Nope.
anyway.
I don't,
So,
I can't get my vehicle.
no, you couldn't get me into it.
it's keeping me skinny, so it's keeping me skinny, and I'm getting rid of things I don't need.
So there's two ways we can do this. We can designate it as an official handicap parking space. Or we can just look the other way and not enforce the towing in front of her place.
Yeah, I mean, I know the CCNRs, I mean, we have all kinds of issues going on in our, that I don't care about, that nobody else is complaining about, so we're just not gonna do nothing about it, and if it becomes an issue, we'll deal with it. How about that?
That's kind of where I am.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. We have our annual meeting coming up in September, which will be here before we know it. And some information's been brought to my attention regarding the last annual meeting, that several people who were there were sort of taken by surprise at the way everything went down. And they didn't vote, period, to put us in as a board. So I'm thinking that we should open up at our annual meeting the board for elections.
Okay.
And anybody who wants to throw their hat in the ring, and based on previous experience, I don't know that anybody will. But at least everyone will feel like this was a fair election, and if somebody else wants to sit in this chair, they're welcome to it. So,
Well, you've done such a good job.
and I'm willing to continue doing it, but I want
appreciate
to
everything
do
you've
it.
done.
I want to do it with the consensus and a mandate of the members. I don't want it.
But Dan, I talked to every homeowner. I talked to them personally. And everybody knew what was going on. The only people who didn't, or who are saying this, are people who don't like what happened.
Well, and this will clear the air on that. So we'll see if anybody else wants to. So I make a motion that we open our annual members meeting up to re-election of the board. And we send notices out this month that those,
July?
no, with these minutes,
Oh, okay.
that we will be holding elections, and anybody who wants to be considered should speak up.
Yes, I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor? All right. Are there any other issues before the board? We have nobody joining us via Zoom. We should set a date for the annual members meeting. If we're gonna put it in the minutes, we should set a date for that. What's that? September. Yeah, and I'm thinking just our regular meeting time,
Yeah,
which would be September 27th. That works for everybody. Seven PM. And we can do it here if you want, or we can do it at the library. Ah, I sure hope so.
Are we, do you want to set for a meeting for July or August?
Oh, yeah, we need to do that too, July.
26th is the last Wednesday of the month.
Yeah, that works for me.
The next meeting.
July. Yeah, your email that you sent out said it was
I
July,
know.
June
Well,
22nd.
so then I sent out another email telling him that it was this Wednesday, and when I did, I got that email from Tom asking me to, where's the minute? Well, the minutes came on the first email, and I said, well, you can go to the website and get them, and he goes, no, you need to send them to me now. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna spray on some Teflon, 26,
26th, 7 PM.
because some people think they have to talk to people a certain way.
Yeah, I would have, in that case, just tell him they're on the website for his access and leave it at
I
that.
knew you would say that, but I went ahead and sent them to him anyway, just because I kill people with kindness. That's
Yeah,
what I-
you'd already sent them to him, so your requirements had been met.
All right,
Well,
so-
I don't know who is feeling it was unfair or whatever, but I am 100% open to that. I feel like there have been times in this past month that not everything has been, I came into this feeling like I was voted in. And that because of past things that had happened, I could be holding personal vendettas against against Chase, and I can't. I'm here to represent every single.
That's true.
Homeowner fairly. Do
Fairly,
I-
fairly is the key word.
Yes.
Send them to me this minute is not.
No, I really want to listen to one of our meetings. Just,
Yeah.
When you're paying me, then you get to make those kind of demands, but not.
I think that he really even wanted to be president anyway.
Yeah.
I think somebody needed to step up, and he honestly maybe felt like he was doing the right thing, but he knew he was gonna hire a property manager to do the job. And the issue is we just don't have that kind of money to waste. And so far, I think we've been doing a pretty good job.
Well, we don't have that kind of money to waste, and we don't have the money to pay somebody to treat owners like they're renters
Yeah,
and low rent
yeah.
tenants in some project, that was my issue, was not. I mean, if we had a property management company that was treating people with respect and dignity, that'd be a different matter, but we didn't have that.
We couldn't even get simple things fixed that are
No.
supposed to get fixed. That's how, yeah, no.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn the meeting for second, third, and fourth.
And all in favor? We out of here. I think that's a new record.
Awesome. Well, you did a lot of work last month, so.